a lot about when I first started working with your guys' union during your last interest arbitration was just how much the nature of the job has shifted over time. And you just alluded to it briefly, but I wondered if you would mind saying just a little bit more about it, because of course everyone thinks of the Postal Service as bringing their mail, but it's a lot more than that now, isn't it?
Yeah, well, even if it's a package, we consider it mail because we're delivering it. It's in the possession of the United States Postal Service. It's U.S. mail, and but a lot of that mail is parcels now. Correct. It really began a few years back with Amazon. To the extent that we have a day categorized or set aside for Amazon called Amazon Sundays, where we were just primarily delivering Amazon packages. And trust me, it was enough to deliver. But as they have expanded their own delivery capacity, they've taken some of that back. But, with the pandemic last year, it just exploded with every segment. You can imagine people having things delivered.
No question about it. And I think another important point that I picked up on, and I don't know that everybody completely understands, well, there's a couple of them. And one is just that true or false, the Postal Service is a government agency.
It is quasi. And what I mean by quasi, it is a federal agency, but it is not. Well, when the government shut down, the post office don't shut down because we operate privately within the federal government. So we get no money from the federal government, no funding. And so people think, oh, well, this is taxpayers' money. No, it's not taxpayer money. It's the stamps
Exactly.
that pays for everything that we're able to do for the service that we provide.
Absolutely. And there's nothing more important to us, to a civil society than having a strong, reliable postal service. There's just no question about it. And I think that was another thing that, people don't understand. You started to say, no, once this mail is in our custody, this is U.S. mail. I don't care if it's in a box, if it's in a flat, it's still mail. And would you mind explaining a little bit about what that means compared to something that comes from one of the other people?
Well, a lot of people don't realize we actually deliver a lot of UPS and FedEx packages, roughly 30%, because it is more advantageous for them to allow us to deliver it because we go to every home, over 50 million, 150 million homes and businesses every day. So in rural areas where it's more cost effective to give it to us, we have it. And I like to tell new hires all the time, that's the big difference. That's why you raise your right hand and you're sworn in to work for the United States Postal Service, because a package in the hands of UPS and FedEx and even Amazon is just a package. In the hand of a letter carrier or a postal worker, it's U.S. mail. And that's a whole nother level of responsibility. And we take pride in that.
Absolutely. And I think people don't understand there's laws, right? Laws that regulate, no one can mess with the mail. No one can be opening your mail. None of that applies for the other people.
Exactly. And the background checks, the extensive background checks we go to work for the Postal Service, tampering with U.S. mail is a federal offense. So yeah, it's a whole nother level of responsibility and safeguards for our customers as well.
Yeah, exactly right. Like I said, those were a couple of key points. And like you said, the dedication of everyone that's at the Postal Service is something that I was just immediately struck with when I've worked with you and all of the unions actually that have members that work with the Postal Service. It's that real dedication to that mission.
Yeah, it's a real dedication, a real commitment to the mission which we were sworn to.
No doubt. Well, and I mean, you alluded to it, but you said, this sort of game on time for you guys. Like when does peak usually start to ramp up? How long does it go? And I'm just wondering, by how much does it actually, because I know it's got to be just a huge glut at this time, but can you describe, is that double what it is during the summer, triple? I mean, how much extra? Because I see the carriers out there going all the time.
Well, I just gotta, it's exploding this year because, of course, last year we had the pandemic and people were pretty much locked down or shut in, and they were utilizing the delivery services and so forth. And really, it was like, from the middle of last year, it was almost like peaked all during the year in terms of the amount of packages and parcels that we had to deliver. But this year, it kind of with a lot of people going back to work, getting to this state of a semi-normalcy, and the economy doing very well. So people are ordering even more. I can tell you that I received a package at my home yesterday at 7:15. I was stepping out to get a paper, get my newspaper, and about to leave out the house. And already my letter carrier was delivering the package. That was really cool. And most, I know here in Chicago, and probably a lot of locations across the country, letter carriers are starting as early as 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning to get a head start on the packages, to start getting them out before we even get the mail, and then come back with even more packages. So it's a very busy day.
Right. And I know these were really important issues because I was working with you guys on this as you were preparing for the interest arbitration last year, in terms of how these changes to the mix have really modified kind of the working conditions that the carriers are subject to every day, in terms of, you were just saying it, start time, street time, amount of time after dark. I mean, all of those are factors in what makes that job, a really kind of a challenging job for people.
Yeah, it's a very physical job. And, like I tell the new hires, whether they're male or female, you're capable of doing the job physically. It just takes a lot of heart, a lot of stamina. You have to want to do it. But I think it's rewarding. You get to meet a lot of people. You're working out in the elements. And of course, some places that's more challenging than others. Like here in Chicago, where we go from one extreme to the other. The weather's been pretty nice so far this year. I mean, 60 degrees in December, we'll take that.
Same in Madison. Yeah, it's over 60 today. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we'll take that anytime. But the interaction with our customers and being outdoors, and again, the rewarding feeling of giving people something that they're looking forward to. A lot of the elderly who are at home all day, they look forward to seeing their mailman or mail lady. But knowing that we're delivering packages and things of importance, that's connecting and keeping this nation bind together, keeping families connected. It's a very rewarding feeling.
No doubt about it. And it's, such a key service. Well, I guess I just had one more question, and then I would encourage people that are attending, if you had a question that you were interested in us trying to address, you feel free, you're welcome to type that into the chat. I'm wondering, as far as like what people should be looking for from the Postal Service, or what do you think? I know in terms of changes that I've heard of coming, I'm just wondering which ones on your guys' radar do you think? I mean, there's the replacement of the LLVs, there's I don't want to slip into too much jargon for the participants, but I mean, there's a lot. I know there's a lot of stuff cooking. I mean, is there one of those that you think is worth sharing with the group?
I mean, what you just touched on, the LLV is the long life vehicle. That is the little Jeep that most customers have come accustomed to seeing us in, and it's that Jeep that we're riding on the wrong side. It is basically set up that way for mounted delivery. So those who are in mounted areas where the mailbox is out front, we just drive up and deliver. You understand why the steering wheel is on the wrong side. But in a lot of urban areas, it's really not necessary to have. And so I believe they've signed a contract where they're getting some more vehicles. I know the trucks that they've been using over the past couple of years in a lot of areas are very convenient for what we do. It give us, because there's a lot of parcels now. So we need that storage space, the shelf space, almost like a mini UPS truck, if you will, in terms of the shelf space and allowing us the ability to get more stuff on the vehicle and to deliver conveniently.
And if I remember right, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's got a much smaller carbon footprint too, right? They're talking about electric vehicles in certain routes and stuff like that too.
Yeah, so I understand with you know, some of the stuff that's in the Build Back Better, that they will be providing electrical vehicles for the Postal Service. So yeah, we're really looking forward to that. But them to be rid of the long life vehicles, they've been around. There's a reason they call them long life vehicles. They span careers, and so yeah, getting into, you know, and then there's no air conditioning in it. It's just like a little fan. So in the summer when it's extremely hot and it does not get as warm as the regular. I mean, it gets warm enough, but you know, it don't blow like if you're in a van. So yeah, a lot of our members, letter carriers, are looking forward to the newer vehicles when they come out.
Yeah, you're right. There was some real truth. And I don't think that anyone had any idea when they coined that term originally, just how long of a life. Those things are way past EOL. And it's kind of a testament to the maintenance people that have been able to keep those things at least, you know, on the road. So yeah.
Well, they were supposed to be built for the long life. So
and they've more than fulfilled it. Well, that's great. I think I see one question, I think, in the chat that's it's more really high level. They're saying, what's the risk to privatization? Is that still in discussion like it was under the previous presidential Trump's administration? And I guess this is kind of a combined question. And if the White House, by lose, I think I'm assuming they mean if a Republican was to go back into the White House, what do you think the prospects are for the postal workers?
Well, you know, we've been hearing that privatization for years in the Postal Service, and it's one of those, it can be kind of partisan, but you know, the good thing about the Postal Service really is it's not a partisan issue, because it is as needed in urban America, well, far more needed in rural America than it is in urban America. You know, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of places that the UPS and the FedEx and Amazon do not go, that the letter carriers or the Postal Service does, whether we're rural or city letter carriers. So we've heard that it is a real threat, because you have to realize the Postal Service generates like $68 billion of revenue a year. 68 billion, none of it is coming from the federal government. That's off the customers who are paying for the service. So that's a pretty big pie to slice up. And we know that there are those who would like to use it for high volume areas, big cities where, you know, obviously where you can make more money, not so much the rural areas, but that would leave them out. So that's why, for the most part, you know, the Postal Service has been kind of safe. I will emphasis on kind of safe. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution actually puts the responsibility of Postal Service, postal roads on Congress. So, you know, right now we have a Congress that is more willing to work with the Postal Service to keeping it public. We've seen some changes come out the White House recently in terms of the Board of Governors. And they will determine the future of the Postal Service. So we'll see what kind of changes that bring about. I know that there's been concern from our customers as to the impact that some of these service changes that was put in place last year have impacted their mail service. And again, we'll see what happens with the new Board of Governors. But with the current administration, we're not as concerned with President Biden. We're not concerned about privatization right now. We're hopeful to get a lot of things in place, including postal reform legislation that will, you know, get rid of that mandate, that 2006 law. At the time, that was postal reform, but it required the Postal Service to pre-fund retirees' health benefits for the next 70 years. And that has really been an albatross around the neck of the Postal Service. it amounts for pretty much most of the losses that the Postal Service has recorded or sustained over the past 10 years. So we get rid of that, and we, take advantage of some more services that the Postal Service could get into. I mean, when you think about it, postal banking, or the ability to operate as a money transfer, because you can, when you think about it, there's a post office literally in every neighborhood. So, I mean, the idea that I can go to the local post office here and transfer money to my daughter in California, she can go to the post office and pick it up at a reasonable cost. So there's a lot of things that the Postal Service can do because it's in every community. And we would like to see the Postal Service able to take advantage of those things. But there are restrictions placed on the Postal Service, and with some of the laws and legislation that can be passed, it may give us the opportunity to seize all the advantages out there that the Postal Service can provide for our customers.
Absolutely. No, you hit them all, man. Soup to nuts. I was like, every time I started smiling, I was like, I was going to say that if you didn't. I was going to say that if you didn't. I guess, I mean, the one thing I might throw in on top of there, just the cherry on top, is the idea that, I mean, look, for example, the presidential elections matter because, well, in this case specifically, talking about how it relates to workers and working people. I mean, the president appoints the members of the NLRB. So not even just specific to the Postal Service. I mean, all workers are going to fare better under an administration that has a Department of Labor that's, I don't know, aligned towards the interest of working people, right? As opposed to business interests.
Right.
So I mean, it's interesting because like almost your answer like reversed. I would say privatization, full bore privatization is probably not as big of a threat to the workers at the post office as is kind of the peeling off and subcontracting of, and Mack, you mentioned it, of the companies don't want to service those hundreds of millions of delivery points of service, right?
Exactly.
That's why it's the Postal Service. It
Yes.
truly is a service to all Americans that you can receive federally protected, secure mail at your house, anywhere you're at in the country. And that's not a service that any private enterprise is even interested in delivering. What they're interested in, of course, is profit. And yeah, to that extent, it's more that they would look to peel off. And I know that like one of the other unions that represents, like, for example, custodial work at postal stations is still done by USPS employees, people that are sworn in, people that are subject to those requirements. And, there is a Postal Service police, believe it or not, that's a real actual thing, right? And again, it's just like you want all your mail to be secure. You want to have people making, family supporting living wages that have access to the mail and to, the stuff that we're putting in the mail. So that, I guess that's from my take and working with all the unions at the post office, I would be more, it's those kind of threats that are always sort of out there because if they could chisel off a little bit of the profitable side, of course, or subcontract it out and think that they're going to save some money, that's probably more likely than them trying to, privatize city by city or something like that.
Yeah, I like to say that the Postal Service is, as you pointed out, is almost a microcosm of society in terms of everything that is within the Postal Service. You can start off as a letter carrier, and you can go into marketing or in other aspects of the Postal Service. As you said, it has its own police inspection service. But the Postal Service, I'm not sure how many people realize this, it is comprised of roughly 30% veterans. Those who serve our country and then they come into the Postal Service is considered an extension of their service. So,
veteran preference.
Yeah,
I see
that's the veteran preference do for you.
You betcha. And I see another comment it's more a comment than a question, but it's a great point, which is, and that's exactly what we were kind of talking about a minute ago is, and you saw this in the past when I talked about that they want to not privatize as much as contract out, was the opening of those or the trying of the opening of those sort of like retail alternatives in places like Staples, for example, as opposed to an actual USPS station. And
Yeah, well, my union doesn't deal directly with that. That's more APWU,
of
but
course,
we definitely support 100% our brothers and sisters with the APWU and are opposed to any kind of subcontracting or, we believe that you can provide, again, those who are working at the window at the United States Postal Service, they've been background checked, vetted out. So, you're not going to get that same level of service. And unfortunately, at times it appears that the Postal Service is undermining itself when it allows that to happen, because then you have less clerks on the window and people come to the Postal Service and they're frustrated because they're waiting in longer lines, and that shouldn't be the case because we have the resources to fully staff these facilities and we'll see better service and more satisfied customers.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that's part of the project when I was working with them.
Okay.
was doing exactly what you're talking about, documenting how, yeah, I mean, that's that level of service. And you're talking about delivery speed as well, which I don't think we have time to get into all that. But again, that the workers at the post office are the only thing, frankly, over the past several years that have been keeping it going.
Oh,
It's the
absolutely.
dedication of these people that have been the glue that has really allowed the Postal Service to continue through way beyond end of life on the LLVs. Even with sort of some of the extra, constraints, et cetera, that they've faced, they've still been able to, yeah, fulfill the mission.
Yeah, I mean, we've had our share of challenges over the past few years. There's been staffing issues and some that we're kind of still dealing with in some locations, where we've seen the inconsistency of the mail service due to some of the changes that were put into place. And I think we're starting to get around that. Now we're going to turn the corner. And as you say, I think the new administration is going to bring about some good changes. And of course, with some legislative help, it can get us to it should be a positive experience for our customers all around. To a person, even when our customers or people are complaining about service, the one thing that they're not usually complaining about is the letter carrier who delivers their mail. It's just when that letter carrier is not there that they're frustrated. But they believe that the relationship that we have with our customers, and it should be a positive experience when they visit our retail locations as well. So,
absolutely. Well, great. I think we have about 5 minutes. If anybody else had a question, I mean, I just wanted to point out, because you touched on this point, but I think it's worth reemphasizing if people aren't aware of, when you hear information around the idea that the Postal Service is not profitable, that's sort of a figment of accounting, because the year-to-year profitability of the Postal Service is not in question. And Mack alluded to this. They, by legislative intent, were basically, from an accounting perspective, forced to prepay for benefits that no other enterprise in the United States or anywhere under normal accounting rules would have ever been able to, or ever been required to, quote unquote, book these liabilities against their balance sheet. So the Postal Service is profitable. It's the idea that they're being held to a much different and higher standard in terms of pre-funding of their retiree benefits than any other enterprise, private or public.
yeah, and you look at that as there are that faction who would love or who would like to see the Postal Service fail, because as you mentioned, they can peel off piece by piece the most profitable areas of delivery and make more money out of it. But on the one hand, you have those who are saying, well, the post office is a relic of the past and everyone is emailing now. We don't need the post office. Well, okay, well, if you don't need it, then why is the Postal Service required to pre-fund retirees' health benefits for the next 75 years? I mean, that tells you it's a bit disingenuous there. You're trying to undermine the service. But I think that if there is, one positive that has come out of the pandemic, is that people realize, how much they need and rely on the service, day to day, our original mission to bind this nation together. And we saw that, and we'll continue to see that, as this pandemic plays out, and people are still relying on, the delivery of goods. And the Postal Service, we we believe that we're the best of the best. We're the best at what we do. And this right here is our season. This is when we shine.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It looks like there's one more question. It's what have been some of the most important recent union issues that needed to get resolved? And I don't know if they mean just issues you guys have had with the Postal Service, but I mean, you can take that wherever you want.
Yeah, so you kind of mentioned it earlier briefly, and it was something that we were really fighting here. It is because of the different mix of the mail now, and trying to, every company want things delivered on a certain day. And so it's in our network and they want this package delivered on this day, but you can't get it to our docks in time. And so this has created not just longer days, but in some locations, the Postal Service moving to starting the mail delivery later. That is a serious conflict. That is a serious conflict with us and the members that we represent. We feel, particularly this time of year, it puts our people in harm's way. We're not looking to have them outside delivering mail after dark. I know here in Chicago, more than half of our workforce letter carriers are females. And so, just the very thought of to have our ladies out there on the street 8, 9 o'clock at night. I mean, that is the reality of being a postal worker. The latest I've ever delivered mail was like 11:30 p.m. And I know that there's some who've exceeded that, and there's some who are regularly out there 7, 8, 9 o'clock. And when the days are shorter, that's one of the major concerns that we have. And also in some urban areas like Chicago, where you see the increase in violent crimes, realize we're out there in every community, in every neighborhood, providing no less degree of service in the more affluent neighborhoods or those compromised urban areas. We're out there trying to provide the same level of service. And so the bigger issue that we have in a nutshell is safety. That's first and foremost. We tell our members, in fact, just this past weekend, I got a call from one of my stewards. I got the postmaster on the phone. A letter carrier had been robbed. Apparently, the assailant had some sort of weapon, a bat or something, and but the carrier was told by the person, "Hey, I have a gun. Give me everything." And so, being a guy from the inner city, he's trying to assess the situation, and did he really have a gun? And we're like, "Look, dude." Give them whatever they ask for, man. Give them what they ask for, because at the end of the day, the most important delivery that you can make is the one that you make home. But again, I think that speaks to the level of pride in our members and the employees of the Postal Service, wanting to provide for our customers, not wanting to let our customers down, and really taking an interest in the things that we have in our possession, that it belongs to our customers. So yeah, safety is the issue. Safety is the issue for us right now.
For sure. And yeah, just like for the original workers in the United States who organized unions, safety is always at the top of the list, no doubt about it. Yes. Well, we really appreciate you joining us, giving a little opportunity to share some of your knowledge and wisdom with the people who tuned in. And yeah, hope for you to have a great holiday. Thanks again for coming, Mack.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me. And I hope everyone have a positive experience this year with their Postal Service. So God bless you all.
For sure. Beautiful. Right. Thanks. Take care.
All right.